NALEO board member, the Honorable Omar Aquino.
Buenos dias. Good morning. Let's try that one more time. I don't think we had our cafecito just yet. Pero buenos dias, NALEO. Hi, good morning to everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the NALEO 42nd Annual Conference. I couldn't be more proud to be part of this community that's committed to empowering Latino leaders at every level of government. As state senator from Illinois, I know firsthand how, Chi-Town, baby! As state senator from Illinois, I know firsthand how important it is to have the tools and knowledge to lead effectively. NALEO's trainings have been instrumental in helping me become a stronger and more informed public servant. Yesterday's programming offered a rich and productive slate of professional development, conversation, and networking, and I hope you all took advantage of what the conference has had to offer. Today we will be presenting more wonderful plenaries for you, starting with a timely discussion on Latina financial empowerment this morning. But before we get into it, and speaking of Latina empowerment, I have the distinct and distinguished honor of introducing to you for the first time at the NALEO 42nd Annual Conference, and for her first time in her new role, the first Latina and new Chief Executive Officer of NALEO and the NALEO Educational Fund. I want to repeat that. Let's go back one more time. Because this is history, people. Let's wake up a little bit. Let's get excited about this. I want to say, the first Latina and the new Chief Executive Officer of NALEO and the NALEO Educational Fund. Get on your feet. Let's clap our hands for Erika Bernal Martinez.
Buenos dias, NALEO. What a wonderful pleasure to be with you today. And thank you, Senator Aquino, for your leadership, your service to our boards, and for your service to the people of Illinois. I am incredibly proud to stand before you today as the first Latina at the helm of our organizations, two, NALEO and NALEO Educational Fund. I am also proud to acknowledge that this is the first time in our history that our chair of the NALEO Educational Fund, our board president of NALEO, and myself are all Latinas, a historic first. That matters, not just for representation, but for the strength and the insight that we bring as women, as mothers, and as daughters of this movement. Latinas, like so many people in this country, understand the critical importance of democracy and how our participation is vital to its existence. Latinas vote in high numbers. We mobilize our family, our friends. We show up at the polls. We run for office, despite the significant challenges and barriers that we often face. Would all the Latina elected and appointed officials in the room please stand, if you are able? Let's give them a round of applause. Bravo por las mujeres. You are all an inspiration to me and to each other. And you are also the pioneers of a future that young women and girls in our community and others will continue to shape because of the ground you have laid before them. And so please, again, let's give these wonderful women another round of applause for their leadership and their service. Latinas across this country are not only leading civic life, but we're fueling the economy, powering innovation, and driving forward the future of our households and our communities. And at NALEO, we continue to foster the tradition of Latina leadership that is bold, effective, and enduring. As the first Latina to serve as CEO of NALEO and NALEO Educational Fund, I carry forward our mission that has stood the test of time and is incredibly relevant today. This morning's plenary reflects that vision. When we invest in Latinas as entrepreneurs, as wage earners, as household decision makers, we are investing in the future of our economy and our democracy. That's why we are so proud to present this next plenary discussion, investing in Latinas through financial empowerment and entrepreneurship. I also want to give a very special thanks to our presenting partner, Wells Fargo, for their continued support and for helping make this conversation possible. Thank you, Wells Fargo. But before we get started, I am thrilled to welcome our moderator for this morning's discussion, someone who understands this work at the highest level, having served as the former U.S. Treasurer and now an NALEO Educational Fund board member, the Honorable Rosario Marin. Please join me in welcoming her and our other speakers to the stage this morning.
Wow, thank you, Erika. I am so excited to be here with all of you. Actually, you should give yourselves a round of applause because I thought there would be only like 20 people here. So thank you for being here. I am absolutely thrilled to be here and welcome you to this morning's plenary on Latina economic empowerment through financial literacy and entrepreneurship. We know that Latinas are a driving force across every sector of American life. Our communities, our families, our workplaces, our economy, and our civic and political life. Since 2010, Latina-led businesses have grown over 51%, reflecting vibrant entrepreneurship, innovation, and resilience. Yet, despite these gains, many continue to face barriers in maintaining and building long-term financial wealth today. Today's conversation is about responding to this moment and turning that tide. We will explore how elected officials and leaders can play a pivotal role in supporting policies, programs, and partnerships that promote financial empowerment, expand access to capital, and foster environments where small businesses and entrepreneurs can thrive. We have a powerful group of Latinas and experts who will share practical tools and strategies that you can bring back to your communities to help build financial resilience and economic opportunities for families across the country. I have had the tremendous privilege of being at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. I've been a councilwoman, I've been a mayor, I've worked for 2 governors, and I was the Treasurer of the United States. And I always like to say this because I think especially in these times it's so important. I am the first and only immigrant woman to be Treasurer of the United States. So we all contribute, I've seen the challenges firsthand of small business owners, entrepreneurs, and so I am really delighted to bring our panelists before you. If you could please join me in welcoming Ramona Ortega. She's the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Wealth Built and My Money and My Future. Ramona. Please join me in welcoming Jenny Flores, co-founder and chief executive officer of AMH Catalyst Center. And Ms. Erica Carper, associate bank financial advisors with our good friends from Wells Fargo. Okay. Wonderful. So, I know that was not a really good introduction, huh? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and also tell us how you got to the position that you are, and then tell us something that we will never find in Tinder and I'm kidding.
Tinder.
See, old people like me know about Tinder. Ramona, please go first.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to be here amongst an esteemed group of elected officials and this powerhouse panel of women. So thank you for inviting me here today. I'm Ramona Ortega. I'm the founder of WealthBuild.ai. We build agentic workflows primarily for financial services and small businesses. We're one of the few Latino-led AI companies, so we'll be talking a lot about that and being a technologist. I was a former Wall Street attorney, worked at the SEC, did securities litigation, and so in 2013 started my first company, My Money, My Future. We then partnered with the NASDAQ Foundation to launch a new investor initiative. So sort of finance and technology is where I sit. I'm very excited to be here and to share some opportunities and to share a little bit about the work that we do and how we can all engage. Thank you.
Beautiful. Jenny.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Flores, and I am the CEO of the AMH Catalyst Center, which is a nonprofit, and I'm also the managing partner and co-founder of AMH Impact Fund, which is an investment vehicle that direct invests into women companies. And so part of my story of why I'm here is that I grew up in an immigrant household in San Francisco. My mom was an entrepreneur, and I saw firsthand how difficult it was for her to get access to capital. And so she basically had to create real revenue, what we call organic growth, and take all the money that she was making and then reinvest it into her company to grow. And so knowing that, she had this grit and resilience, and that for many traditional financial institutions, she was seen as high risk. I just couldn't believe, I'm like, this is a missed opportunity. Fast forward, I go to college, I come out, and I go into banking. So I spent 20 years in banking, really looking at how we can get more capital to flow to communities like Latino communities, Black communities, underserved communities, and literally put billions of dollars to work. And in that, came to the conclusion that, yes, it's important to help companies start, but it's equally important to help companies scale. And so I am now leading a nonprofit effort that is building AI tools for women founders to help them understand how to play this game of venture. And then also direct investing into these companies to help them go to the next level. So it's a pleasure to be here. I can't wait to get into it.
Let's get into it. Not quite yet. Okay, Erica, tell us a little bit about you.
Good morning. My name is Erica Carper. I am a financial advisor with Wells Fargo Advisors. I have been in the financial services industry for 13 years now. I spent the majority of my career as a premier banker. And a little bit about myself. I'm actually from Georgia, from the suburbs, about 30 minutes away from here. I graduated from Georgia State University. My parents are from Mexico, so I've had the privilege of living in both countries. When I was little, they would go back and forth between Georgia and Mexico. So I really appreciate diversity, and I really understand the culture, firsthand, having lived through it and experienced it. And the reason why I'm a financial advisor today is because I want to empower people in our community through education and planning to succeed financially.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't know about you, but they didn't answer the last question. I'm kidding. I am kidding. You can laugh. Anyways, okay, so why don't we start? Let's start off by having a discussion on the current role and economic impact Latinas have made across the United States economy. Maybe, Jenny, you can start with that. Can you describe what are the factors that are fueling the surge in Latina entrepreneurship? And what sets Latina-owned businesses apart in today's economy?
Yes, so Latinas are the fastest growing entrepreneurs in this country. There's about 2.3 million small businesses owned by Latinas, and they're growing exponentially. And so as we think about what is causing this growth, I think there's two things. One of them is just opportunity. We have, at this point in time, so many Latinas graduating from college. They're going into professional careers, having this experience, and they feel ready to go take that experience and launch companies where they can drive value. And so we see that. And then we see necessity. There are companies that are starting from women who are balancing childcare or other kinds of care within their families, and they need the flexibility. You have women who've gotten laid off, and then they think, so what am I gonna do? Start a business. Or you have companies that start kind of as a side hustle, where I just need a little more income. How do I try to get a little income on the side while I have this job? And so we see a lot of that. So all of that in combination, explosion of entrepreneurship in the Latina community. And I would say what really stands out for me as I look at Latinas is a couple things. One is that super resilient. We know that when they go try to get traditional loans, Latinos in general are 60% more likely to get declined for loans when they go. And I would encourage all of you to follow Latino Business Action Network. They do annual survey of small businesses, Latino focused. It's incredibly insightful. And then when you think about Latinas and Latinos going to get venture capital, less than 1%, just a couple of $1 million goes to Latinas as they try to scale their businesses, which is a huge opportunity, missed opportunity. So I see that resiliency. No matter if the capital isn't flowing, we're still going. The other thing is, I think we have just deep cultural insight, and we can see gaps of what needs exist in our communities, and then we're designing companies to meet that demand. And so you see women meeting this need, being super engaged in their communities. I would say the third thing is that we're, I would say, really efficient in the way we manage capital. So for the little money we have, we're growing revenues. And so for me, I feel like the playbook of entrepreneurship, where you go get a loan and then you start, like, we're breaking that playbook apart and just going for it and figuring out how to drive success through our companies. So these are the things, I think, that make us really unique. And no matter what economic challenges are happening, literally I talk to Latinas and they're like, recession, you don't say nada de recession, I'm going. And they're just building, it's incredible. And that kind of fire, that kind of ganas is something that is a strength that we have as we build companies.
Right. Something you want to add, Ramona?
Well, so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but as an old litigator, I go to the facts. So yes, we are growing businesses at a rate faster than the average, which is amazing. We're getting into the venture game. We're getting into tech entrepreneurship. Not as much as I like them, but we're getting there. I think the problem is that we're not scaling. We're not scaling. We have very few businesses that are even $1 million plus, but even 10 million in revenue, which by most standards are actually small businesses, right? So we only have one Latina CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So I'm looking at long-term generational wealth. And in technology, in this moment in time, both with technology and AI, we are at a moment where we need to take advantage of that, because this is where the next 100 years of wealth is being built. And if we're not present, both on the venture side or building companies that then go to public markets, we're losing. And so what I'm always looking at is, how do we build that intergenerational wealth 100 years out? And it's now, right? And so that's where the work that Jenny's doing is very important. That's why I chose to go the route of entrepreneurship in tech, so that we can scale a company and sell. Right, because that's that windfall. So what we're talking about today is then how can states and cities and municipalities support that effort in terms of capital.
Yes, and actually that would be toward the very end, specifically what you guys, elected officials, can do about that. But thank you so very much. Let's talk about, given all these advances that we had, and given so many Latinas are in this position, how do we work really to maintain these economic gains amidst the current and the future policy changes? There might be some policy changes out there that will impact us negatively, potentially, or policy changes that actually may help us. What can we do? Either one, either three, anyone.
I'm happy to go, but do you want to mention something first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I just don't want to take up too much air, but I think there's quite a few policy changes. Let me step back. I think there's a couple of things that are happening at the same time. So we're at the intersection of high growth and technology. We used to have the challenge of access. We don't have access to information, financial advice, et cetera. Early fintech, and we were a part of that with My Money, My Future, solved for a lot of that. You have robo-advisors, you have access to brokerage accounts, you have access to a lot of financial fintech products, neo-banking, et cetera. So the access issue has been solved for the most part. What we now need is participation. Latinos are the least prepared for retirement, right? And this is where governments can, I'll hold the exact protocols that I think can happen, but in terms of the opportunity that's there, Latinos are the largest workforce participants, which means now we have the opportunity to engage in our retirement systems, right? And so we need to do that, and that takes education. So we still need a lot of financial advice, and that's where AI comes into play. My company, Wealth Build, has that in its sort of roadmap to do direct to consumer. Right now we work with businesses, but being able to leverage technology for the opportunity to provide the advice that people need to grow their wealth.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so very much. So, Erica, and maybe we need to go just a little bit back. What do you think are the critical elements of a personal financial plan? What does it look like for beginners, intermediate, and advanced planning? Because I think, how do you become an entrepreneur? You need to have a plan. So I know that's your expertise. Let's talk about that.
Right, you're absolutely correct. You have to have a plan. One of the most critical elements in any stage of planning, whether you're in the beginning stages, intermediate stages, or advanced stages, is that you have clarity around your goal. You want to make sure that it is your own goal. It's not your father's goal, not your significant other's goal, but your own goal, so that you are passionate, and so you're passionate about achieving that goal, and that goal is in alignment with you. Your goals should also be SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It's also very important that your goals are aligned with your time horizon and risk tolerance. Financial education goes a long way. And I encourage each one of you to seek advice, interview several financial advisors or your local bankers. Make sure that you feel comfortable, you feel understood, that, they respect you and your language, or, what makes you you. And it's also a good idea to have an accountability partner. That can be your financial advisor, it could be a friend, family. You want to make sure you have somebody that keeps you on track with achieving your goals.
What you say is just absolutely true. As the Treasurer of the United States, I was in charge of financial literacy, and I went around the country talking about what was needed and how you devise your own plan and so forth. But interestingly enough, and you would understand this, when it came to my own personal advice and my own personal planning, I went to a financial advisor, right? Because it is the same thing. You cannot, like attorneys, right?
You don't represent yourself. Yes.
How is it? It's
you generally don't represent yourself,
right?
Yes.
So you have a fool, right?
Yes,
to represent yourself. So it's the same thing. So before we start asking anybody else to develop a plan, I would ask each one of you: do you have a financial advisor that you go to that keeps you on your toes, that holds you accountable for your own financial plan? And I think that makes
a big difference. You know, I was able to follow, you know, I could have done it myself. I mean, I've been talking about this all the time. But it was until I went to a financial advisor that really kept me on my toes. So you're absolutely right. Thank you, Erica, for that. Now, SMART. Can you just repeat that again?
So SMART, specific.
Specific.
It has to be achievable.
What about the M?
Measurable.
Measurable. See, that's very important. Achievable and timely, right?
Relevant and
relevant.
time-bound.
Smart.
That's right.
Not smart.
Smart.
Thank you. Wonderful. So we know that there are some barriers that, as we're talking about growth and so forth, Latinas face some significant barriers. Jenny, maybe you can lead us into that discussion. What are some of those barriers? What do we need as Latinas to find that support?
I would say that based on my experience both in traditional banking and now on the venture capital side, Latinas generally have a lack of trust in the system. And partly it's because we don't see ourselves in these spaces as decision makers. And so, you know, I go into like venture capital communities and I'm literally the only Latina there. And it's 2025. This is like last week. And so within that culture, there's a whole way of speaking, there's a whole way of engaging, there's a whole way of how you make the connection. And if we don't know, it's like a club where you feel like you don't belong. And so that's the very first thing, is being able to understand how this game is played. And so for me, as I build the AMH Catalyst Center, which is meant to provide tools and resources for women to navigate, it's breaking down, like, what is venture capital? What are some of the terms? What do they mean? So if people talk about the flywheel effect, and you're like, I don't know what that, just explaining what that is. What's a term sheet? The basics. How do you create an investor opportunity that makes sense for you as well, so you're not losing all your equity as you're raising money? Just like the basic foundations I think are important. And then also recognizing that as we go in as Latinas, that we are very powerful. And the fact that we come in to these conversations, not from I'm asking just for a little, like, you're all missing out by not investing in us, and this is how we do business. And this is the opportunity. So I think it's education, it's reframing the mindset of we're very powerful and we deserve to be in these rooms and we're going in. And the second thing I think is having a network that opens the doors. And so one of the things that I'm building right now is just a network of investors who understand the opportunity. And I tell them, this is not diversity, equity, and inclusion I'm talking about. I'm talking about real money that you can make on these incredible businesses that are scaling fast. And here's the ROI, here's how quickly we get to profitability. And now we're seeing these investors coming to us. And they're saying, Jenny, help me reach these women. I want to reach them. How can we reach them? And I never thought it would happen this quickly. I just launched in January. But when you position the business case and you show up as an opportunity versus like a sad case of, none of that, people respond to that. And so that's what I'm building. And I'm working very closely actually with Ramona, leveraging technology to be able to scale. So I think these networks are important. And then access to actual money. Like I always say, I don't want to chase money that never comes, promises that never materialize. Like we want to be able to put opportunities in front of investors and get decisions quickly. Because time is also money. So let's cut this going around in circles. So networks, motivated investors, and like quick decisions, I think, are real opportunities for us to make a difference.
That's amazing. Did you want to say something,
Yes.
Eric?
So I just want to add something to what you said earlier. I don't want to sound like a Wells Fargo commercial, but Wells Fargo sponsors...
go ahead. Go ahead.
Please, go ahead. Right. So Wells Fargo sponsors the website. It's called Hands-On Banking. You can learn that on your own at your own pace. There's different topics such as investment, retirement, after high school, credit. So we can leverage websites and reliable sources like that to educate ourselves when it comes to money.
Right.
Thank you.
I can
Yes,
add-
go ahead.
I want to just add two things that I think are important and part of this long-term conversation. So it's like a chess game. You're trying to win. You're trying to get to the other side. You got to know the rules of the game to get to the other side and know which plays to make. And I think part of that is the investment play, right? So understanding your 401ks, your portfolio. And as we're talking to a room of women here, it's really important to understand how to take risk that's risk informed, right? So they always say that women are risk adverse. And I think that it's often a misnomer, right? I think that we're careful, but as Latinas in particular, and I talk to a lot of them, we need to be more curious. We need to be more curious about our investment portfolios, about our strategies. A lot of people in real estate, that's good. It should be part of your basket. It should also include equities markets. It include crypto. Crypto is an asset class. So there's lots of opportunities sometimes that we miss because we don't like to ask questions. We feel embarrassed, we feel ashamed. Oh, I should know this, I don't know who to ask. We now have a panel up here of people to ask, but there's also a lot of resources. We have the Thrive campaign. We have a platform for investing so people can ask questions. So there's a lot of opportunities to learn. So that's one thing. The second thing is we really need to start thinking about our estate plans. Generational wealth in this country is built on insurance. I know State Farm is here somewhere. Let's talk. There are tons of opportunities in building generational wealth through financial products. Get to know them, have an estate plan, have a trust. A lot of wealth is lost because people don't take care of secondary, third properties, and that gets sold, and then the wealth gets lost. So there's a lot of opportunities there, and as professionals, all of you should be thinking about alternative investment strategies, investing in Jenny's fund, investing directly in companies. Most of you qualify to be an angel investor. It's something that I advocated for in terms of the qualified investor definition at the SEC, so that we can have more people involved in being angel investors and VCs, because that right now is a very private club.
Does everybody know what an angel investor is? Okay.
So an angel investor is an individual investor, and you're qualified. It's about $250,000 in net worth, not including your home. There's a whole definition. The point is that you have the opportunity to invest in private companies, for example, like mine, that are not public. Or you can invest in Jenny's fund, and then Jenny goes and invests in other companies, right? So that's what an angel investor is. There's many opportunities to get involved. Come talk to us. We're having a little round table at 4 o'clock downstairs.
Excellent. So we're talking about, are there some cultural, not problems, but things that really prevent us from accessing those opportunities? Are there something that you've seen in your experience, and how can we go around about that? Because I believe, and you mentioned a little bit, but are there some that you've experienced with some of the small entrepreneurs, and maybe it has to, they do their business, but then scaling it's a little bit more frightening?
No, I would say from personal experience, like I shared earlier, I had spent 20 years in finance, like at the top companies in this country, and I did not realize that I could invest my 401k, I could take part of it and invest it in companies. Like I can direct invest. I had no idea until someone said to me, Jenny, I have this fund, can you invest? And I'm like, I don't know how. And she said, oh, this is how you do it. I'm like, nobody told, not even my advisor had said anything to me. And partly it's because they want to manage all your money. But then when I figured that out, I said, well, I want to take 10% of it. It's long-term hold anyway. And invest in these people that I trust and know and I believe are going to do great. And that's how it started. That's how I got into all of this investing. And I think it's about what you said, curiosity of, wait a minute, how does that work? And I know maybe someone would look at me and say, why didn't you know, Jenny? You've been in finance. Well, no one said anything. And it was a different type of asset class that I'm not used to, engaging with. But the more you learn, the more you can think about these advanced, and they're not complicated, but they just have a little more risk. But if you know what you're doing and you trust the people you're doing business with, it's not as risky as like not leaving your money to someone and never checking. It's like, that's risky as well. And so I just think asking the questions, and being open to doing things that may not be like just a traditional path can yield incredible returns for you and teach you so much about using your wealth to build wealth faster and to build wealth in your community.
Very good. Thank you. Erica, what basic financial habits or tools should every entrepreneur have in place even before they seek outside capital or loans?
So one of the things I say to my clients, and whether you are a W-2 employee or an entrepreneur, you must have some sense of organization. You should be organized. I know most of us probably have a drawer full of stack of papers with unopened mail. But when you're a business owner, you know, or a W-2 employee, organization goes a long way. Having just that sense of organization. For some people, that might be delegating to an attorney just to make sure that they file their, you know, business documents correctly, to their CPA just to make sure they're on track. Or using some sort of software to help them stay organized. But if you are delegating, you want to make sure you know what's going on. And whether you're an entrepreneur or a W-2 employee, you should always have a buffer, an emergency fund to weather the business cycles and ups and downs. And it is super important, again, to stay organized and to have that emergency fund in place.
Excellent. Thank you. I really want to dive into the AI because I think that is a tool that is coming, that is here, actually not coming, it's already here. So how do you see AI impacting all this, especially the small business entrepreneur? Because we know the big companies, they're all running with it. So, and then specifically, Ramona, Latinas.
Sure.
So small businesses and then Latinas, because not all, there are Latinos here too, so.
Yes.
How do you see that when it comes to financial empowerment and building generational wealth? I know you wanted to touch on that specifically.
Absolutely. So let's start with a quick AI overview. AI is here, right? AI is living in the background of most of your programs, your services, your software. So what we're seeing now is the advent of being able to interact with AI on an individual level, right? And you're usually doing that through chatbots, et cetera. What we build and what you're going to hear a lot more about is agentic workflows, right? So it's agents, autonomous AI agents, taking on tasks that you would otherwise be manually doing. So think about data centers, the lack thereof really in a lot of businesses, especially for small businesses. You have a few people on staff, you may not have a marketing team, you may not be able to track your data and your sales and do all of those analytics. That's where agentic workflows and AI can support the growth and scale of small business through operational efficiency. And that's what we're really looking towards, is working with the Chamber of Commerce, working with business SMBs, working with city government officials who are supporting small business owners, because a lot of times those small business owners are struggling with paperwork just to get certified, right? Or to get government contracts. AI efficiency can happen on both sides of the table, both for the entrepreneur that is applying for those kinds of loans, underwriting, anything that's paper-based processing can be, AI can be useful in that process. And so we're really looking at scaling small businesses and being able to teach folks how to use that. We're also working with school districts, so community colleges, and being able to have sort of engagement with students at a deeper level and using that data to inform practices. So I think there's going to be a huge growth in the use of agentic workflows. We hope to be leading that for the Latino community. And so I think that's where sort of you're going to see the real use case, because AI sometimes is just sort of this thing that's out there, but the real use case is helping you scale or do your work faster, better, cheaper.
Excellent. So Jenny, help us, because you deal with a lot of these women, but especially in under-resourced areas. How is this AI potentially an area that could really make a difference in them?
Well, I can speak from my own experience, and then I will tell you what I'm seeing kind of on a trend. But I think all of us are trying to figure out, how does AI allow me to reach my customer, my target market, and give them what they need, give value? And so what we decided, my co-founder and I, is that we were going to use AI to build actually these chatbots, and we're partnering with Ramona, in fact, to ensure that when, say, a founder comes to our website and they say, for example, I'm in a manufacturing company and I need to raise, $10 million, here's what I have, our chatbot can then say, this is a gap, you have these things, but you need these 5 other things, and we're gonna help you create them, and create them with like best in class. And so we can leverage technology to provide this service that women would typically be paying $20,000, $30,000 for, having consultants and this and that. We can do it for a fraction of the cost, like $1,500, and do it fast. And so I think that for women, entrepreneurs generally, figuring out what is it that I need and how do I get it efficiently and effectively is gonna matter. And the people who can get it and to figure that out can go faster. And I think right now we're in a game of speed. Who's moving fast and who's moving smart? And if you're still using a spreadsheet and you're not gonna be competitive. And so for me, it's so important that we understand these technologies, not just for what they can do generally, like for my social media, but what can it do for me? How can I make money using this? And so that is one of the things that and I partnered with Ramona specifically because I like to support Latinas who are at the cutting edge, to make sure that as our companies grow, as the women we invest in grow, she grows too. And so I think collaboration is important, something that I think oftentimes people want to compete. I'm like, no, collaborate. Collaborate, because together we go farther, faster.
Or let's do deals together.
Do deals together.
More women need to start doing deals together.
Let's do deals together. And so I'm just so proud of the fact that we're using technology as a bridge between what I'm doing, what Ramona's doing, what these founders are doing. And the thing that we always say is like, how quick can we get them profitable? Let's go, let's go. And so to the extent that you want to learn, I think it's important that we get this information out through the channels that women are already on. I'm like, I see some of my friends are like, look at my TikTok video, haha, it's so funny. I'm like, look, you need to go figure out how you're going to scale your business.
Use TikTok to sell your business.
Because I like the fact you're liking these videos, but like...
In all these years, that the 3 more powerful words that you can ever utter is, I need help. Human beings tend to be extremely generous. And the moment they hear, I need help, automatically, you can try it. You just try it anywhere. The moment you say, I need help, people are willing to help you. And so as Latinas, as business owners, just utter those words. And you have resources here that will tell you exactly what you need to do. And so be not afraid. Ask for help. There is a ton of not just information out there, that people that are willing to help you get there to the next level. And help Ramona and help Jenny and invest in them. And with the resources that our good friends from Wells Fargo have available, I need help with my business. Magic will happen. Thank you so much. Now, we have, and you all know, now LEO stands for elected and appointed officials. As policymakers, tell us what are the most effective strategies that they can implement to foster financial security and economic resilience for small businesses, for entrepreneurs. What can they do at the local and at the state level? And at the federal level, I'm sure there are some federal officials here. Are there procurement opportunities that they can have access to? What can they do?
So what I have learned is that financial education equals financial empowerment. So that to that extent, we want to continue to provide education in high schools, maybe as early as middle school and through college. I'm kind of excited. I'm excited about Georgia kind of leading the way in having a financial literacy requirement in their high schools. And I know that other states are already doing it, which, I'm really proud of all those states that are already implementing it. I just think we should make this nationwide, not just in a few states, but every state should have a financial literacy requirement before students graduate high school. One of the easiest things for policymakers to do would be to amplify the resources that are already out there, like that hands-on banking website, or under wellsfargo.com, we have many educational tools to help people. And these are reliable resources that we all have access to. Or perhaps also going a bit deeper with financial empowerment workshops such as this one, and promoting places where they're already taking place, because these things are already happening across our communities. We don't have to reinvent the wheel if you amplify what's already happening.
Yes. Jenny, are there some other things that the elected officials can do? Are there programs? Can we utilize CDFIs better? Are there things that they can do through their community development programs for specifically targeting entrepreneurs, small businesses?
Yes. So I would say a couple of things. One, helping to scale businesses is really difficult when you're in my position, meaning I am raising capital to go invest in these companies that get overlooked by most venture. It costs about almost $1 million to set up a fund. With all the legal fees, it's about $1 million. And then, depending on how much I want to raise, I have to put in another 2 to 3% of my own capital. So you're talking 1.5 million just to go. And I don't come, and many of the women who are doing this don't come from very wealthy families where I can just say, Daddy, write me $1 million check. It's not happening. And so one of the recommendations that I would have is to understand that to scale businesses is an expensive endeavor for the people financing. And there is an opportunity to invest local resources into funds that support your local community. There's also opportunities to support fund managers. As they're starting, there are opportunities to help defray some of those costs so that we can go faster. I would even say, as we look at more immediate things that we can do, I have taken a look at this new budget bill. I happen to work in manufacturing. That's one of the areas of expertise. There is so much opportunity in this bill for manufacturing, creating manufacturing hubs, training for manufacturing, expanding credits. There's an immense amount of opportunity, and I keep thinking, what part of that is coming to the Latino community? And how do we leverage this moment where there's like a massive shift in manufacturing in this country that hasn't existed, and we're building up all this infrastructure? How do we do it? Who's going to be leading? How is investment going to flow into our companies that are building things, moving supply chains? It is such an important thing. That's an entrepreneurial side. Also, important is this whole idea of the baby bonds that are in the budget. Every child born gets $1,000. I was the person who built the first children's savings account with I was with Citigroup. We built it with the city of San Francisco. It's not just the $1,000 that matters. Every child that has an account is 7 times more likely to go to college, just by the fact that they have an account. And so for me, as I saw that come through in the budget bill, I thought, how many Latino children are going to get that? And do the parents understand how to leverage that vehicle to ensure their child gets out of potentially poverty, goes to, like, there are so many layers in that you can start to imagine creatively how we ensure that that money gets activated strategically. I mean, there's just so much. And so to your point that you said earlier, I need help. I need help understanding how to, like, who's doing it, because I'm an activator and I want to connect the dots. And so it's such an important time, whether you agreed with the bill or not. I don't, at this point, I'm like, it's there. Let's go figure out how to extract some of that value for our people.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to add something about what does the elected officials, the policies to increase access to capital?
Yes, I've been waiting for this.
I knew.
Three
I
things
knew. She was ready
that
to
are
jump.
very important. 3 things on the entrepreneur side: get people shovel ready. These contracts, a large portion of all municipal budgets go to outside vendors. We as Latinas make up a very small segment of that money. So I want more developers, I want more service contracts out there, but cities have the responsibility and opportunity to get those companies ready. Oftentimes they don't have the financials. That's where Wells Fargo can help. They don't have sort of the things ready to be shovel ready to get those contracts. They need to get payments. We need to do USD coin or crypto blockchain to be able to ensure that payments get through, because a lot of folks can't have $100,000 in debt until they get paid by the city, right? So there's a lot of sort of inefficiencies in that shovel-ready market, but that's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs to get paid and to grow. Second, pension funds. You got California, Texas, Chicago in here, huge pension funds. Pension funds are the driver of capital markets. People forget that. Pension funds are what makes capital markets go round. So for emerging managers, there's plenty of programs. You need to start encouraging people to have those programs in the pension funds for emerging managers. That money then should be deployed to entrepreneurs through venture funds that represent the city or the state that they're giving to. So the other thing about pension funds that's really important is the shareholder activism part, right? So we have an issue with immigration, we have political things that we can be using our capital power through the pension funds for political activism in terms of investor activism. So I think that's another piece that we don't talk about very much. Very important. And then I think the third thing is that there's quite a few states now that have mandatory 401k programs for small businesses. Here's what's missing. So great, it was a great policy. The missing piece is that there's no education attached to it, very little. So most people are opting out because most folks who are not familiar with this stuff, they don't buy what they don't know. So if I'm like, oh, I'm going to take some money out of your paycheck and invest it, they're like, oh, no, I need my money. Right? So if you're not doing the education with that, that's a problem. You're going to miss out on the opportunity that you now mandated. That's where we come in. We can provide that financial education through AI at scale at a lower cost. Right? So those are three areas, huge areas where a lot of money gets deployed from municipalities, pension funds being a key offering there.
Good. And so, to close, you have a whole bunch of elected officials here. Give one specific thing that when they go back home, they can do, whether they are council members or mayors or state legislators or other elected officials. One small recommendation that you could give each one of them. Let's see. Who wants to jump? Jenny. She has like 10 to do things.
Yeah, I would say that what gets prioritized gets done. And so the question is, what priority does entrepreneurship, particularly Latina entrepreneurship, hold in your agenda? And what resources are backing that priority to ensure that there's an outcome, a positive impact on it? Otherwise, there's just so many things that pull, right, for your attention. And this often goes to the bottom. It's like, oh, let's deal with like this other stuff. But Latinas, investing in Latinas has a huge potential because we tend to circulate our money within our own community. And so we give jobs locally. We reinvest locally. Then we start donating locally. We start donating to campaign. Like it just is like a really great thing to invest in these women who understand the value of local impact. And so that's what I would say, help prioritize this opportunity in your agenda.
Excellent. Okay.
I would actually say have AI trainings, prioritize understanding AI and how it's going to impact your city. We do a lot of work with different municipalities and sectors on this, just understanding AI and how it's going to impact and how you can use it.
Good. Erika.
So I would like to say to prioritize financial literacy. Financial literacy goes a long way. Each one of us, and I would say most of us here are privileged to have financial literacy, be educated in it, but a lot of people in our communities don't, and you would be surprised how many affluent clients I've had to sit down and have a conversation about basic things such as budgeting, building credit, building wealth, investing, because even though you may think because they're wealthy, they have access or they have the knowledge, people in our communities don't. Especially, Latinas, there's a lot more that we could do for our communities.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, final thoughts, and then we're going to wrap it up. I know that you probably have a lot more to say, and what else can you tell our audience? Because, they go back, and I've been in your shoes, and I've been to many of these conferences, and so what do I take back that I can actually do when I get home? specifically, and from in your communities, there may be a group of Latinas, but there may be other groups. But specifically, what can I do? When I go home, what can I do for this particular group that I know for a fact when I invest in them, the returns are going to be greater for our community or your community? Final thoughts.
So again, I think prioritizing is huge because it gets done, right? So when you talk about economic impact in your cities, remember that also essentially supports your growth, right? As a elected official, we want to give more. I mean, the more money we make, the more money we give. And so having those partnerships with external partners, I think is really important. Public-private partnerships, I think, are a key to economic growth in most places. So I would say identify partners that you're going to work with.
Do we just leave everything to the Chamber of Commerce?
No, no. Unfortunately, the Chamber of Commerce is, I think, just from a technology standpoint, is just not there yet. And I think that's something that we're trying to work with chambers, to be like, look, the technology sector is sort of running capital markets, running a lot of things in the back end. I mean, most of the contracts that cities are giving are to big software companies. How many of those are owned by Latinas? How many of those are owned by Latinos? Very few. So we need to start prioritizing how we spend our money, both our own family money, right, and our community's money and elected official sort of government money. So thinking about how and where we do procurements are really important.
Excellent, excellent. Jenny, final thoughts.
Yeah, I would say that no one person, no one company, no one entity can solve for some of the opportunities that exist. And in venture capital, there's this really powerful concept called the network effect. Like if you can figure out in a business how one spark can then ignite the rest of the customers or the base, you can become so profitable and do it fast. And so when I think about that in community, it's like, who are the people that can create that network effect? Let's go get them all together and ignite because they can get the thing done. And so I would say go back and figure out who in my community are those igniters that we can connect up so that we can get this agenda moved forward and like get capital flowing, get these contracts, because it's going to take more than one person. And so getting those people, the right people, is magic.
Absolutely. You just gave me an idea. Go ahead, Erica.
So I just want to second what you said, creating networks, building those relationships is very important, and also educating ourselves when it comes to finances and empowering ourselves to succeed.
Yeah. So if I was sitting in your shoes, and unfortunately I'm not, I'm a has-been. I have been a councilwoman and a mayor of a city. But if I was right now one of them, after listening to all of them, I would put together a financial literacy. I would lead that effort. I would create a financial literacy workshop. I would create a day of the entrepreneur in my city. And I would bring the resources, and I would bring the AI component for my local, not just Latinas, but all entrepreneurs. But I personally would be calling my Latina business owners, say, hey, we're going to have put together, the city is going to put together, the county is going to do this, the state is going to hold this effort. Because that really would make a huge difference. If I was in your shoes, I would do that after listening to these three remarkable women. Take this back. Oh, go ahead. You can go ahead. Things are moving, and as we've heard from Ramona and Jenny and Erika, things are moving very, very fast. We can either get on the wagon or we can say goodbye to the wagon. But when we as elected officials and appointed officials wave that wagon, our community waves it as well. So with that, I want to thank Erica and Jenny and Ramona for their wisdom, for their knowledge and their experience. And I certainly would like to be very grateful to Wells Fargo for sponsoring this particular effort. And I don't know, where's Ruben? Is Ruben still here? Ruben, thank you so very much for everything that you do through Wells Fargo. Thank you all. Have a wonderful conference.
Thank you
and
to our
give a
moderator.
round of applause.
Thanks to our moderator.
Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, please welcome back to the stage Naleo and Naleo Educational Fund Chief Executive Officer, Erika Bernal Martinez.
Thank you, Madam. That was a really good, yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Naleo, seguimos. What a wonderful discussion. I want to thank Treasurer Rosario Marin and all of today's speakers for such a powerful and timely discussion. And by the way, thank you for giving your attention to those speakers. Those ladies certainly deserve it, so thank you for the courtesy. At Naleo, we believe deeply in the power of dialogue across sectors, across perspectives, and across all levels of government. For over 40 years, Naleo has proudly welcomed Latino leaders and public officials from every level of office, creating a space for thoughtful, nonpartisan conversations around the issues that matter most. With that said, I know the past few months have been a challenging time for many of you in this room today. Changes happening in Washington are having effects in your communities and the people you serve, and in turn have an impact on you as leaders on the front lines of those communities. Please know, I see you, I recognize the difficulty that you face in navigating these dynamics. I also want to make clear that despite these challenges, it is vital that we remain true to who we are as an organization of bipartisan elected officials, and that we approach all engagement and all dialogue with a civil and collaborative mindset. We continue that tradition today by welcoming a member of the President's Cabinet to join us as our guest here in Atlanta this morning. As U.S. Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer plays a pivotal role in shaping the policies that affect workers, families, and communities across the nation. Her presence at our conference is an opportunity to hear directly from a national leader on workforce development, economic opportunity, and the challenges facing the labor market today. And so with that, please join me in welcoming to the stage with a round of applause the highest-ranking Latina in the President's administration, the U.S. Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer. Welcome, Madam
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. It really is an honor to speak to you today as your 30th Secretary of Labor and a proud Latina. My great-grandmother's family immigrated from Mexico in pursuit of the American dream. They hoped future generations would have access to greater opportunities in the United States. Their hopes came true. I became the first person in my family to graduate from college, open a small business, and eventually become the first Republican Latina to represent the great state of Oregon in Congress. I'm proud of the roots and still enjoy carrying out many family traditions. One of my favorites is serving my grandmother's famous tamales. Every year at Christmas time, and I know all of you recognize this, we make hundreds of tamales with my grandmother's recipe. My family still gets together, even though my grandmother has passed at 97 years old. She passed about 5 years ago, to make them in her honor. And now I get to pass that on to my grandson, who was just born in March. It's such a special thing to teach the next generation about your family history. I'm honored to represent my culture and heritage as the highest-ranking member in the President's cabinet. He has assembled a team full of diverse backgrounds. Together, we are working hard to unleash economic opportunity by making America skilled again. Just last week, I signed an agreement with my friend, Kelly Loeffler, and I believe she was here visiting with you. I strengthened the Labor Department's partnership with the Small Business Administration on behalf of the American wage earner. We're working together to support domestic manufacturers, families, and small business owners. And as a small business owner myself and a former mayor, I know firsthand that it's easier to succeed when the economy is running strong. I attended many ribbon-cutting ceremonies when I was mayor, and I saw people sacrificing their retirements to open up their dream storefront. I know how much sacrifice is needed to own a business and to support a family. That's why the policies we're enacting in this administration are going to grow our economy, attract investments in our workforce, and place skilled workers in mortgage-paying jobs. We're rescuing Main Street from years of overregulation and heavy-handed government. The economy has responded positively to the America First course correction, with job growth beating expectations 4 months in a row. We've added more than 600,000 new jobs, and we're continuing to see a steady drop in prices. To keep this momentum going, the Department of Labor is on a mission to create 1 million new active apprentices nationwide. Equipping our next generation of workers with the skills they need to fill good-paying jobs is critical to the American economy. You know, apprenticeships graduate about $11,000 more a year than college graduates when they start out. For many students, college is just not the right move. Instead, they might want to pursue a career in the skilled trades through a registered apprenticeship program or other hands-on training. For years, a one-size-fits-all approach has left too many workers behind. Now, the Labor Department is opening up all possible avenues for students joining the job market. Thanks to the President's pro-worker legislation that was recently signed into law, the One Big Beautiful Bill, Pell Grants are now accessible to students who want to join two-year programs. This administration is leading the charge to ensure states have education pathways that set our children up for success and connect students with the right careers. Along those lines, the Education Department has partnered with us to provide states with clearer guidance, reduced regulatory burdens, and more resources that are directly invested into the opportunities for our workers. I just signed that agreement with Secretary McMahon at the Department of Education. They are our future workforce, and we cannot forget about our children. Secretary McMahon and I are working together, restructuring to meet the needs of our next generation and streamlining workforce programs and educational opportunities. Education and labor have always gone hand in hand, and now we're taking steps to make sure our policies do the same, ensuring all of our actions directly benefit students, families, and educators. As a mom of twins, who are now going to be 31 years old next month, I understand just how imperative this mission is. And I want you to know one's a Democrat and one's a Republican. So there you go. If I can split an egg in two and one comes out a Democrat and Republican, I have a superpower. Curriculum must work for our students, connecting with them opportunities to succeed from a young age. I'm going to keep working to introduce students to the trades and good-paying jobs. We're going to give them every resource and tool they need to fill those jobs and have great careers. I'm also going to keep serving you with an open-door policy, and I cannot thank you enough, Naleo, for inviting me here. I know that this is a bipartisan group, and I'm honored to stand before you, yes, as a Republican, but as an American as well. And getting out there nationwide and work, America at Work listening tour, and so I can hear the stories and take them back with me to the Oval Office. The President has deployed all of the secretaries, as you can see, across the nation. When we meet with the President every few weeks, our job and his direction is to work together, get out of Washington, D.C., and get on the ground and talk to the American people. And so my part in that equation is to put the American worker first, put them at the pinnacle, make every decision that the Department of Labor makes doesn't happen without thinking of the American worker first and how we can best serve them. I told the President and my team when I first got this job that I would visit every single state and visit with those workers on the ground. We did that yesterday. We're doing that again today. It's been about 4 months. I've hit nearly 20 states, and so I'd say we're making pretty good progress. But that's my goal here at the Department of Labor, to actually meet with people who are affected by these policies and then make those policies be a reflection of our workers. That's what government is supposed to do. We're supposed to be your ally, not your adversary. We're supposed to help. We're supposed to assist. I learned that when I was mayor. Everybody knows where you are, and if there's mayors in the room, and I know that there are, they find you everywhere, at the grocery store, in the parks, with your kids at sports, in the schools. Why? Because what they're going to come up and tell you is not a bother. They just want to share what's important to them. And in a small community, if I can take those values, I took them to Congress, and now I've taken them to the Department of Labor. This is what government is supposed to do, and it starts with also dedicated leaders like yourself. Our educators, mentors, county commissioners, local organizers are the heartbeat of our communities. You're the ones guiding our youth, connecting our families to opportunity, and keeping the American dream alive is the most important level, and we can only do that right at home, right in our own communities. You know, that's how I got where I am today. I was just a mom, decided to get involved at the local level, and I took action. I married my high school sweetheart. We've been married for 35 years. I put him through medical school. I started on the Parks Committee. I was then elected to City Council and then served as mayor before going to Congress. I want to thank all of you every day for uplifting your communities and sharpening the potential for our kids. Together, we are building a stronger workforce, a stronger economy, and a stronger future for all Americans. And on behalf of the President of the United States, I thank him enough every day for giving me the opportunity to come here and serve you all. And so thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for having me. And it really is my honor to meet with all of you today. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Secretary Chavez de Reamer, for joining us and today and for your remarks. We're grateful for your time and leadership at this pivotal moment for our country's workforce. Before we close this morning's program, just a quick few reminders. I wanted to let you all know about an exciting opportunity we have on site for the first time ever. Outside of the registration area, you'll find a video station where you can share your story. We want to hear about you and your family's immigration journey, the challenges facing your community today, how NALEO has helped make you a better leader, and more. Also, please be sure to check out the conference app for details on this morning's breakout sessions, which begin at 10:30 a.m. on the 7th floor. We've got an incredible lineup of topics and speakers that you won't want to miss. We also invite you to join us again later this afternoon's lunch program, which will feature a conversation you will not want to miss on the 2024 election, the Latino vote, and the future of voting engagement, all happening right here back in this room. And finally, don't forget to stop by our service project on the 8th floor, where we are yes, the service project on the 8th floor. Thank you, State Farm. Where we are assembling heat mitigation and mental health kits for children and families served by this year's service project recipient, Los Niños Primero. We'd love your help in reaching our goal to have 1,200 kits made. So thank you again for spending the morning with us. Enjoy day 2 of the NALEO 42nd Annual Conference, and see you soon. Gracias.